David Haye will challenge Nikolay Valuev for the WBA World Heavyweight title in Germany. It appears that Haye could be in for a tough night. Valuev is the heaviest heavyweight ever. He's 7 feet 2 inches tall, and that means he'll be over a foot taller than Haye and weigh best part of 7 stone more. So how do you prepare for such a contest? Remember, this will be only Haye's second fight as a heavyweight. How have preparations gone?
Preparation has been real smooth, real good so far. I've done my final sparring session. That went really well. I'm implementing in sparring what I'm going to do in the fight. At first it was difficult. We've got some real big sparring partners in. I was struggling at first with the length of arms, and I had to travel so much further in to land my shots. But over the weeks and months, things have got a lot more comfortable. And now, it feels second nature to be punching up high against a guy who's a lot taller than myself.
And that is the key thing. For anybody that doesn't know, we should underline once again, Valuev is 7 feet 2 inches tall. I mean, you really do need a different approach, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. This guy's 7'2". It's something I've never had to encounter before, obviously in competition. So now I'm doing it in the gym and sparring. I can see why so many people have struggled with his height and reach. That's one thing I wanted to make sure that when I get through the ropes, it's not going to be a shock to my system, that I'm conditioned, that I'm prepared to, slip his shots and counter. I'm looking at drawing his shots out, I'm looking at getting inside his reach, landing bombs, and bringing that World Heavyweight Championship back to Britain.
Do you actually think you'll even be able to land, though, a punch on his head at 7'2"? I mean, what's the tallest sparring partner you've met so far?
The tallest one I've met, I think, is just below 7 foot, a guy called Julius Long. Been around for a little while now. He has. It seems like whenever anyone fights Valuev, they use him as a sparring partner. I think he actually makes a good living as a Valuev sparring partner, to be honest. So I've been working with him. He's an improved fighter, and it's obviously you can't replicate exactly what I'm going to be in the ring with, but I've come pretty close.
He's going to be incredibly intimidating, isn't he?
Not really. In my mind, I've prepared to fight someone twice as big as him, twice as ugly, twice as hairy. In my mind, I never struggle mentally when it comes to fighting. Never have my whole life. I've always, even when I was a kid at school, I always tried to, if I was going to have a fight with someone, always try and pick the biggest possible kid in the playground, because I wanted the accolades of beating the big kid. And here we are, the biggest heavyweight champion in history. And here it's around the corner. I can taste it. I've said to anyone that listens since I was a kid that I will be the heavyweight champion of the world.
You've been fairly insulting to Valuev, saying he's the ugliest man you've ever seen. He's a circus freak.
I've been truthful. That's what I've done.
But why would you do that? A ticket sale's not going well?
No, all the tickets are sold out for the fight. I call the shots as I see him. He is the ugliest human being I've ever seen in the flesh. I've seen ugly guys on TV and movies, but without prosthetics, this guy is. He's a freak show. You just look at the guy, the size of him, the amount of hair, matted hair that's coming for his jumper, for his neckline. It's actually quite disgusting. That's the one part of the fight that I'm not looking forward to, is getting in the clinches with this big hairy beast, because apparently he smells like a wet dog. I'm not looking forward to that. But I'll have to go through that to win this title. I know he hates my guts. I know he doesn't like me. I know he's heard some of these. He said insulting things I've said about him, and he's going to come out there to really do a number on me. And, I'm looking forward to that. I relish that. I want him to come out all guns blazing, because he'll give me openings. A fighter who's boxing angry, in my opinion, is a boxer who gives up a lot of defensive flaws.
So you think that by riling him, he can lose his head a little bit, and that's a tactic in a way, is it?
We met each other in Germany, and I could see in his eyes he could not wait for November 7th. He really, really, genuinely wants to do me some damage. His trainer said that before. He's quite a placid fella normally, but I've got under his skin, he said. So his coach is predicting a knockout. So I think it's going to be an exciting fight, and this appeals to sort of the non-boxing fans as well. You don't have to be a boxing fan to want to see this fight. You've got the biggest heavyweight champion fighting, a small British fighter in terms. I'm 6'3", and he's under 16 stone. I love the thought of it. It's that sort of Rocky style fighting Ivan Drago. I really can't wait.
I interviewed you before you fought Monty Barrett, and you said one of the things that obviously was going to be the unknown factor, the weight of punches, and you said to me sensibly then, if you lost, that would be it. You would know straight away, and there would be no sort of continuing. You obviously feel the same way about Valuev. If you lost, you wouldn't think, well, I'll give it another crack.
I haven't even given it a moment's thought, and I won't do. I can't think of a contingency plan. I can't think of if things don't go the way I'm going. I'm training for every eventuality of me winning, and that's it.
It's unlikely you'll knock him out, I guess.
My plan's always to knock my opponents out. You know, I've always trained to knock people out. That's my tactic, is to break him down and knock him out. If somehow he's superhumanly tough, then it possibly can go the distance. But if it does, I'm looking at winning a lopsided victory. Mean everything, you know. This is my chance to get the goal. This is my chance to be the number one, the world heavyweight champion, and it'll be a lifelong ambition fulfilled.
David, we'll talk to you after the fight, I hope, on the programme. Very best wishes. I hope it goes well.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Colin, having covered boxing for hundreds of years, he says he's prepared for Valuev's size. You've seen all the big heavyweight fights down the years. He's going to be in for an extremely difficult night, isn't he, David Haye?
Yes, he is, and size does matter in boxing particularly. I was doing a question and answer with Sir Henry Cooper last week, and asked him if he had any advice for David Haye. He said yes, tell him to join Bupa. No, it's just an interesting stat. 75 years ago, Premier Carnero fought a light heavyweight called Tommy Loughran for the world heavyweight title, and Loughran was giving away 6 stone 2 pounds. David's going to give away more than 7 stone. Loughran actually went 15 rounds with Carnero, who wasn't very good, of course. And then the biggest differential, where a good Littleham beat a good Bigham, for want of a better phrase, Jack Dempsey gave away 4 stone 2 pounds when he knocked out Jess Willard to win the title back in 1919. So little men have beaten big men, but it's very, very rare. I just think that Valuev will use his 23 stone to push, shove, lean on David and exhaust him.
So we're not going to hear the ring announcer say the new heavyweight champion, using that phrase?
Well, everybody's got a chance, and I'd love to see it happen. It'll be wonderful for David Haye and wonderful for British boxing, but unfortunately I can't see it.
Has Haye been silly, goading Valuev in quite the way he has?
It's all part of the boxing mind game.
Well, I mean, I said it because they're not selling tickets.
Well,
it's
not only
sold out, but they always do that, don't they?
Well, you know, the tickets have gone, but what he's got to sell is pay-per-view television. That's where the bulk of the money will come from, to make people buy the fight in their own homes.
Quick final thought on the heavyweight scene. Mike Tyson was on our programme last week. And I asked him about David Haye, and knowing how Tyson loves and is a scholar of boxing, I said, what about David Haye? He said, never heard of him. What does that tell us about heavyweight boxing?
I'm not surprised about that. I mean, Mike Tyson's been off the scene anyway for some time, off the boxing scene, although you often see him at ringside at Las Vegas, and I suppose he doesn't quite get involved in the history of, the modern history of boxing like he used to. I don't suppose he's heard of Valuev either.
This is